Welcome to 10 Talks, real conversations for champions with champions, where a champion life is a 10 life. Thank you for joining our conversation. I'm Carlette Patterson, and it's our desire to coach you up to win well-being by sharing winning strategies from our champion lives. If you're interested, go to championwellbeing.com or chiefwellbeingofficers.com. And remember, you and your life matter. Enjoy our conversation. Interested in winning well-being? We've created a coaching and training program for Chief Wellbeing Officers so that you may serve your organization, your team, your university to really coach people up to be able to win well-being in their personal, professional, and philanthropic life. Our training curriculum involves 10 intelligences. Those are well-being, emotional intelligence, love, leadership, being you, economic independence, your identity, new for change management, giving hope, and 10 intelligences, how to bring it together to create a 10 life. Interested in learning more information, go to chiefwellbeingofficers.com. Thank you for having the desire to win well-being. Hi team, welcome to 10 Talks. So today's desired outcome is to really share how do we win well-being and be a champion for our well-being. Our guests today are two Division I sport coaches, and they are also our sports life coaches. So welcome, Joi and Melissa. Excited to talk about just what well-being means to you. We've had the honor of being on a journey with you. We've just finished our Champion Wellbeing course, which was 10 weeks of training for you to be a champion in your well-being. And so today we're really going to talk about that journey, talk about you, and most importantly, really speak into the lives of sport coaches and how they can take great care of themselves and win well-being and still be great at their career. So Melissa and Joi, welcome. Melissa, share a bit about the power of your story as we launch into just our conversation today.
Thank you, Carlette. It's an honor for me to be here with you and Joi. The power of Zoom and being able to meet virtually. I mean, Joi and I have never met except for these Zoom meetings that we've had for several weeks. And I feel like we're friends, you know, and so I know that we're going to meet in person one day. So just thank you for bringing us all together. But the course was really great. The well-being, I think during this weird time in our lives, COVID is like really brought to the attention of how important well-being is, because I think a lot of us are struggling with it. But kind of my quick story of how I ended up on this screen today. I was a college athlete. I played golf at the University of Tulsa. And after graduation, I played professional golf, both in Europe and on the LPGA for about 11 seasons. So about 15 years of my life, I was chasing a little white golf ball around. After my career, after I retired, I took over from my mom, actually, who was a coach at the University of Tulsa. So I was a coach for a couple of years, and I was courted by Arizona State. I was there for 13 years. And then I am now currently the head coach in my 6th year at Auburn University. So coaching has really become my passion. And then when I was at Arizona State, I met Carlette and was introduced to sport life coaching. And I'm like, what in the world is sport life coaching? And, you know, to live it is really understanding what it is and really helping others, and the well-being piece of it is such a huge part of the things that have helped me. You know, learning things I learned through sport life coaching have helped me personally to become a better coach so I can be better for my student athletes.
Love that, and love the honor of being your coach. It's been an amazing journey and so fun to have you one of our certified sports life coaches. I mean, that's another thing that's really the power of just continuing professional development, is that you were able to bring this credential into your professional career, and it just adds a little something to really what's going on. And our motto is you got to live it to give it. So the great part about that is we're practicing being it as much as we're getting the honor of coaching other people in it. So thank you for that, Melissa. So Joi Williams, welcome, and tell us a bit about your story.
Well, like Melissa said, first, thank you, Carlette, for this opportunity. It's really neat to be here. And, you know, even though Melissa, you and I haven't met in person, it feels like we've known each other for a long time. But that's also, you know, Carlette, you're such a great connector and those types of ways. So I really appreciate that. But for me, I've been involved in the sport of basketball just about my whole life. I played basketball, went to college on a basketball scholarship and was a student athlete, and then wasn't good enough to play professionally or play for money, but knew that I wanted to be involved in the sport. I was a point guard, and usually those are the coaches on the floor. So I really wanted to coach. And so I got an opportunity. My first job was at the University of Florida. I was an assistant there for 12 years as an assistant at the University of Florida. And then I spent 1 year actually at Clemson as an assistant. And so I went from, after 13 years of being an assistant coach, I got my first head coaching opportunity at Murray State University in Kentucky, and then was there for 4 years, and then had an opportunity to go back home to my home state of Florida. I'm a Jacksonville, Florida native, so I was able to go back to the University of Central Florida in Orlando and was there for 9 years. And so I coached for 26 years total at the Division I level, 13 as a head coach, 13 as an assistant, and then was fortunate to have an opportunity in the WNBA for one season with the San Antonio Stars, who were later sold to Vegas, but that's another story. But it was a great year in the WNBA. Loved working at that professional level and was able to see a lot of things there and meet some new people. So really 27 years coaching. I'm currently now back on a campus, college campus. I'm at Clemson University serving as the director of quality control. So I kind of have the best of all worlds now. I get a chance to really be involved with the players and interact with them, and also serve and support the coaching staff through scouting, through game prep, through practice planning, practice preparation, all those neat things. Add some insight into the recruiting area, which I have done for a long, long time. So it's really a neat role that I'm in, and really thankful. My head coach, I've known her for a long time. So it's been neat to be back on campus and really feel the power of team again.
Oh, love that. And that's what we're all about, is just the power of team. And today we really want to ignite the power of team by sharing with you how you can be a champion for your well-being. So Joy and Melissa, let's talk. Let's have a real conversation, authentic conversation about how tough is it to actually really honor your well-being as a coach inside sport. I mean, as crazy as that sentence or that question sounds, you think because we're in sport, we're around working out and we're around nutrition and we're around physical. We're also around a tremendous amount of stress and the ability to really manage at a high level. So let's talk about really your well-being before your awareness about it, before we started coaching you in it, and where you are today. So go ahead, Joy, start with just kind of that film of what you thought well-being was before you started getting coached in it, and now how you feel about it today.
Well, I think when I thought about it before, it was kind of just like, you know, you need to take care of yourself. But what does that mean? I think, and I can think back to my younger days in coaching, early days in coaching, when I didn't take a vacation at all. You know, it's kind of like just work around the clock, recruiting. Basketball was never ending. And so I was young. I didn't think much about it, like no big deal. And so as I got older, and also after coaching, you know, watching my film and being involved in sport life coaching and just in the well-being class, it really the thing that stood out was how intentional that had to be about my well-being and about taking care of myself and honoring myself. So the intentionality was a big learning thing for me, is that, and it's hard, you know, because we say we want to do it, but then we really have to devote that time every day. And it's not perfect. I mean, some days and weeks you do a good job and some you don't, but it's a constant learning, you know, it's in progress. So it's that's really probably my big takeaway in terms of my own well-being, is that I really have to be intentional about getting it done.
And Joy, what's so valuable about that is just that we have to start honoring ourselves. I mean, if we really want to show up and be a champion and give to our players, to our partners, to our families, to everybody, that's a giving that's coming out of us. And what are we pouring into us so that we are full and we are ready to really give at a champion level? And so I think so many times as coaches, we have this great passion and desire to serve, and we forget about us, and we feel like we can do it even though we're not operating at a 10. We're just feel like we can just keep giving more and more and more and we'll be okay. So really valuable to make sure that you matter and that your well-being matters, and the value of putting a value on your well-being first so that you have more to really give to other people. So Melissa, we know that you've had a transformation inside this season of well-being. You've really stepped into owning what was important to you. It's been great being on your journey of watching you find love in terms of just loving, activities and the things that you've wanted to invest in while we've been inside a not so fabulous season. I mean, that's what's really intentional about what you've done, is you've taken this time of COVID and made sure that your well-being was top priority. Take us on that journey.
Well, for me, weight loss has always been a real challenge. Actually, weight gain is like my least challenging thing. Um, so I just, and being sequestered in your home and not really being able to do much when the gyms were closed. And I'd really worked on trying to become more active. So I was doing that and still not losing any weight. So I think in our change formula in sport life coaching is, you have to have new hope, new skills, new thinking, and usually a new relationship. And you actually connected me with, a weight loss people. And I don't know, I just like this, if there is ever an opportunity that I have time to dedicate, because I did have I found myself with extra time because we're not on the road recruiting because of the recruiting ban right now. And so I just really got into a mindset of, I'm in this well-being class, I'm going to do this. And it took me about 2 weeks to really get to that mindset. And I've just never been successful with losing weight. And just got on a really strong ritual routine. I think our weekly well-being class was something that, kind of helped keep me accountable. This is what I'm focused on. This is what I'm doing. Getting reassurance, sharing what I was doing, getting support, having joy moments and 10 moments, and just having the support of the team was really helpful. And, like, well, what is well-being to me? It's like the one area in my life that I felt like I was just really failed at was managing my weight. And so that will continue to be a journey, but to date, I'm down 20 pounds and
Woohoo, victory dance, baby. Woohoo.
and just really changing a lot of habits, all those things people, I always ask, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? It wasn't all my activities, it's really what I was putting in my mouth. So just eating a lot more clean, cooking at home, meat cooking. This is a whole new thing. This is something that COVID has enabled me to do. At 40 days without having any oils, that was kind of crazy. Like, how do you cook without oil? And I learned and studied and figured it out. But I think just having the extra time to be able to dedicate was just really helpful.
So one of our intelligences, part of our well-being, is we have 10 intelligences that we train in. And so every week we have a new intelligence, a well-being intelligence that we train in. One of them is new, and it's called new intelligence. And it's all about really that change model. And so Melissa, you're really speaking into the new season that you're stepping into, the new thinking that you've got, the new mindset that you have. And I want to just talk about the power of really accepting that things can be different, and that we've gone through such transformational change, and it can be so challenging mentally, spiritually, emotionally, on our energy, on our emotions, because it's almost like every day we wake up and think, okay, what are we going to be able to do today? What can we not do today? And that can really add a lot of anxiety. And so when we think about well-being and we think about new, what are some new winning strategies that really the gift of COVID in terms of that season that we have been, playing in, and also the gift of really being trained in well-being? What new things, new winning strategies have you come up with that you want to really implement into your season from today forward? So, Melissa, what are some of those winning strategies?
Just the word season. It's when we're talking about my little weight loss journey. What part of that was like, a season when we're coaching our sports, we have a beginning and we have an end. We have, the start of the season. We know when we're in our 20-hour season. We know when we're in our off season, and we can basically balance your energy throughout that season. And with my season and my well-being, it was like a 40-day season of really strict. And then it became a new season. And then there's stage 4 is another season. So it's just a program that I'm on. It's kind of broken it down into seasons, which I didn't really think about before. But it's like, here's the start and here's the end. And I think that's been the biggest challenge of COVID, is that we don't know when the end is. And so I think just using and utilizing seasons, like whatever your project is, have a start and have an end. And that's something I think really speaks to coaches.
And Melissa, certainly in terms of the new intelligence, is that is something we can control. Even though we can't control COVID, we can't control, even from an administration perspective or a health or a state or a government, what's going to happen. We can say, okay, we're going to have a week season, and meaning 7 days for the week. And we're going to say, okay, in this 7-day season, we're going to work on team culture. Or, this month season, we're going to work on fitness, or really starting to think differently and then inserting some new skills. And that's really what we've been able to do as a team, connecting and learning from each other. We've brought business, sports, and life people together, and we've said, hey, tell us what works for you. Tell us what doesn't work for you. Sharing that conversation, connecting to other people, and each one of us being on our own journey, and yet also just being able to support each other. So Melissa, for you, it was a weight loss journey inside well-being, along with many other things that you did. Joi, you had different things that you were working on from a new perspective. And the good news is the team was supporting all of us in our different journeys. So when you think about new intelligence, what are some winning strategies that you've come up with in terms of that's going to be new in your next season?
Well, I think just the important realizing now, especially during COVID, and having to be at home and be quarantined and be away from the team, and not really being able to connect, is rituals and routines extremely important. Not that it wasn't before, but I think we just got, you have a certain ritual and routine when you go into the office, or it's competition time or practice time. We talk about it different seasons. And so for us as coaches, we think about preseason, season, off season, type things, but without having that physical place to go to, just really coming up with, what are those new rituals and routines going to be, and what are, kinds of things am I going to do for my joy breaks and for taking time to myself to think about well-being. So that was something that really had to be, again, I had to be intentional about doing that. And then I figured when I could do it for myself and I was able to set some of those rituals and routines, I could help our players do that same thing. Because I think a lot of the, next geners, these college students that we work with, that's a struggle, and especially during this time when their routines are so set that as coaches, we really have to be strong in our own ritual and routine to be able to help them. So that's been something that's been new for me, and really made me focus on what my rituals and routines are.
And Joi, what value to really be able, I know sometimes as coaches, we just think it's about really helping the athletes or helping our clients, helping. And you're doing that live it to give it model. You're saying, you know what, I'm going through it so I can relate to anyone else that wants to talk about it, because it's so different from a perspective when you feel like you've actually been on that journey rather than just telling somebody about it. Actually, that connection of experiential learning. And so let's talk about another intelligence. Let's talk about love intelligence, one of my favorites, and I know also for you guys as well. And it's interesting because when we think about love, we go to more of a relationship love, or kind of a soft love, those rainbows and butterflies kind of things. And inside Sports Life Coaching, we believe that love is one of the key fundamentals for competitive greatness. And so for us with competitive greatness, our fundamentals are truth, faith, and love. And that's truth, really anchoring in what is my truth, and starting with that foundation, then moving into faith and self and teammates and administration and university, kind of that faith of really connecting to something unseen and bigger than us. And then the love of self, the love of game, the love of community, the love of teammate. So we brought that love component from competitive greatness to our well-being course and really said, let's talk about love from a business, life, and sports perspective. And wow, we had some great conversations, because I think in sports, we've gotten used to love being the passion of the sport and really feeling that. When we connected with our executives and the business side that were on our team, they were like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to really be able to bring love into the corporation. So, Melissa, what have you learned about love intelligence?
That was one of my favorite weeks that we had, was when our teammate, who's an executive and in human resources and had a long career, and she was the one that was like, I don't know about this love thing in corporate America. Um, but I think that after we discussed it, it was an aha moment that, because we do in sports, we talk about the love of your teammates, the love. It's not always romantic love. And I think that most people think of, when you say the word love, it's got to mean, like it's romantic. But love is a feeling. And who would have thought that I would have told my compliance officer, who kind of scares me
Yeah.
sometimes, that I totally respect, but we were kind of going back and forth about a certain issue, and we resolved it. And I said, you know what, I just love you. And he said, well, Coach Luellen, I love you too. And it kind of changed our relationship and how we talk to each other, and just that, like, I really care about what you do. I know that you have a hard job. I appreciate you and thank you. And so I told him that I loved him. And like I said, it changed our relationship, from my husband in his work. He was really frustrated with a contractor that he was working with, and the guy wasn't responsive, wasn't getting the stuff in on time. And I said, what do you think is happening in his life?
Mm.
And he thought about it, and he actually changed his approach, talked to the guy, asked him, well, he'd lost his parents within weeks of each other.
Wow.
Devastating. And it changed his relationship with his contractor. And now he was like his best guy.
Mm.
And so I think that's compassion and love and caring. I think supervisors, managers, if they care about their people, they're going to get a much better response. Just like coaching, if we care and we love our student athletes, and that's how we connect with them.
Right.
And so, we many times we put sport life coaching works beautifully in business and in life, because sports is a great model for the love component and how it doesn't have to be just thought of as romantic. So that was some of my experiences.
Well, and it takes courage. It really takes courage to start to think about love from a well-being perspective. And so it really worked for you and the people that you were connecting with, because you felt so different after you connected as people, caring about each other, being compassionate for each other. So again, I really just want to emphasize, like, when we think about well-being, it isn't just this one thing that kind of lives over here in a box and it's like, this is when I'm practicing my well-being. We really believe in well-being as a lifestyle, and we want to win well-being in our life, and every day we want to win well-being. So really taking our competitive spirit that we have for sports and life and business, and saying, let's win our well-being. And how do we want to do that? Let's love what we're doing, love our life, really respect the people that we're hanging out with. So Joi, what were some of your new thinking or winning strategies when we introduce love as a well-being fundamental?
Well, I think one thing that I heard you say before, Carlette, was how love is probably one of the biggest emotions that we have, if not the biggest, and how, you know, we tend to leave it out of our professional life and our philanthropic life. And so, or those dimensions. And so I know for me, that probably really resonated in one of the things that you said as we learned about this, because we do a lot of times think about that. And that was one thing I was able to help our team with, and also understand that, you know, the romantic type of love is really, you know, not the love that we're necessarily talking about when we talk about competitive greatness. I've been, you know, trying to do more work with competitive greatness, and the love component is really, really interesting of how people see that. And, you know, talking about that agape type of love, where my love for you is really telling you something, helping to have hard conversations also, which is a part of well-being. Because to me, when you keep things bottled up, or you don't say what you want to say for fear of the other person not receiving it well, it just stresses you out more. So really, you know, what's been some new thinking for me is really to tell people right off the bat, if there is a conversation that I have to have that might not be the easiest,
Yeah.
first and foremost is that I'm for you and I love you, and I'm telling you this because I want to help you. And it goes differently. You know, I think it's taken differently. It is received differently. And I know for me personally, when people have done that for me, is I've received it a lot better. So that's some of my new thinking with love, and just really how philanthropically we can, you know, just show love, make people smile by just, whether it's calling their name or just, you know, saying something to them, commenting on something that's going on in their life that really makes them happy. So the love component is huge, and you know, I try to model that for our players, and you know, help them with that also.
Well, as great as well-being and love and new identities and intelligences and all this conversation has been, let's talk about performance barriers, because we all have the desire. I know each one of us have been together for years. We've been on the journey of supporting each other. We've been on the journey of loving each other. You know, we've been connected. And yet well-being was not our focus. Our focus was more about being competitively great, sports life coaching, winning personally, professionally, philanthropically. And for me, it was a great journey to really switch into how do we take everything that we've been in our life journey and put it inside really well-being and really start to live a life of well-being. So watch your film, think back on really, you know, the 10 weeks that we had together, as well as everything that's going on in your life. And what would you say are some of the biggest performance barriers for honoring you and your well-being, as well as, you know, really being able to be that coach that you want to be? Melissa?
Well, I think as a coach, you're kind of like, if you draw a circle, you're in the middle of the circle, and you got all kinds of people around you pulling your energy. You got your, you know, people, and sometimes in a good way and sometimes in a negative way. It's just energy. It's just energy getting kind of pulled. And it's your student athletes, you know, their highs and lows. It's administration, going through all the COVID protocols, just completely daunting. Um, you know, your personal life with your family, trying to, you know, it's just like trying to balance everything is always a challenge no matter what. And so you're just constantly having your energy pulled. And so that, I mean, that's a performance barrier if you don't manage that energy. So, you know, energy management is a huge thing. We always talk about it with our student athletes, like, you know, get enough sleep and wake up at the same time, go to bed at the same time. College students don't really get enough sleep. So that's certainly a performance barrier. But energy management, I think I have in my book here from our well-being class, like taking care of myself so I can be my best for others. And that really is just the resonated, that's my definition of success for well-being, that I take really good care of myself, I'm going to be able to be the best for everybody else. And so, but performance barriers are, you know, worry, stress, lack of sleep, poor nutrition, resistance to change, um, you know, trying to, you know, things that you can't have control over and worrying about them. You know, and a lot of the questions, there's tons of questions out there, unanswered questions. are performance barriers. And then you find an answer and then it changes.
Yeah.
So, just trying to really communicate effectively when there's so much change. And then the people that you're leaning on, they're going through even bigger issues with all the teams in the athletic department. So, I mean, it's just a little bit of the frustration, but just, trying to, I've chosen how to deal with it with grace and acceptance and things that I preach as a coach. I have to remind myself to do the same things.
So with all those performance barriers, using our sports life coaching tool of really the truth is this is the performance barriers. This is what's happening. What's some actions to change from a well-being perspective that are now part of your rituals and routines for your everyday life?
Well, I definitely go to bed and wake up at the same time, and my sleep quality is way better. I've been very intentional with that. Um, like I said, cooking at home and eating a ton of vegetables, just changing my nutrition. Um, that's just really, and then of course I have to have my rest and recovery, which I learned from you that rest and recovery doesn't always mean sleep.
Yeah.
It means doing an activity or putting something in your life that gives you energy. And so I talked about energy being taken away. Well, we all have to replenish our energy. So sleep, nutritional, those are like the one you have to do. Well, my rest and recovery is pickleball. And so I make time for pickleball. I make time for fun. That in a busy life of a coach, it touches exercise, it touches competitiveness, it touches social well-being. I meet new people, I play with different people all the time. And so it's been a great thing for me. Because when you and I first started working, Carlette, I didn't have any fun activities or hobbies, or I was so entrenched in coaching and so competitive and wanting to do such a great job and build a great program and didn't take vacations. And now we always take a vacation. We take at least one vacation a year. But just those are the winning strategies of dealing with stress of being a coach.
Well, and Melissa, you talk about that competitiveness. And yes, when we started, you were like, if I take my eye off the ball, literally, it's like, I'm not going to be able to win. And you really learned a big difference is that actually the more powerful your rest and recovery, the stronger you come back as a coach. And, whether it's just that one day or whether it's in the evenings, and it really changed who you are from a person of, first of all, you're all about, you're so fun. Everything about your spirit is fun and joy and really competitive as well. And so it was such a gift of really winning well-being for you to go on this journey of honoring you, of trusting the process, which we tell our athletes all the time. And you stepped right into that. You were like, you know what? I don't know about this rest and recovery thing. I certainly don't know about taking vacations. I don't know how this is all going to work out. And now it's so much a part of your life. And it's so much just a lifestyle that, you're still winning championships, winning tournaments, but I think you have so much more enjoyment in really the process. Would that be true? Is that some words of wisdom you want to give to other coaches?
Oh yeah, I mean that's like I can remember an assistant coach, and she'd just become a head coach, and she was about a year into it, and she was doing the same things. You're a young coach, and you just feel so much more responsibility. And I said, "Have you taken a vacation?" She goes, "Oh, I don't have time for that." Yeah. And so I said, "Well, let me tell you." Yeah. What would be something you'd like to do? She's like, "I'd like to go on a cruise." Okay, so I'm going to give you an assignment. And you need to research what cruise you want to go on, what the dates are, and get back to me. And then I said, okay, so she did that. And I said, now book it. And just almost forced her to take a vacation. She did it. She had a great time. Called me back and she said, thank you so much for pushing me to do that. And that was something that, from my experience with, I would have told you to take a leap in the lake, like I'm busy here. And it really did change my perspective on on rest and recovery. It's been a huge, I think burnout is something that coaches really can be challenged with. And I know for sure during those times, even those early years, I was struggling with burnout. And so this has been able to enable me to say, I'm on my 21st year and I'm ready for a lot more. Where 10 years ago, I'm like, how am I possibly going to make it to 20? So it really has changed my perspective.
I think this is our 10th year together. I'm not quite sure, 10 or 11. If you've been at Auburn 6 years, I think we may be going on 11. Of course, we lose track, but that's such a great journey, and really just being able to speak into other coaches' hearts and lives from a well-being perspective and remind each one of us and our coaches is that, our lives matter, and that's such a deep desire to serve other people. We have to start with us. And so, Joi, as you think about your performance barriers on really honoring you, you've certainly been in the coaching business a long time, and been on this journey of also discovering you and doing different positions. What would you say are some of the performance barriers that you've had for really honoring well-being for you?
I think one thing is time management can be a performance barrier, and like Melissa mentioned, the energy management and also emotional management. I think is one thing because we go through so many highs and lows and ups and downs, with different things. And I think those are things for me personally that, as I look over the years and look at my film that have been performance barriers. And one thing in terms of actions to change for time is really putting it on a calendar or scheduling it, whether that's exercise, whether it's, time to read, just again, really making sure that you schedule those things that are important that you want to do. And, for me, identity well-being was really big just because, I was fired as a head coach, and, in our business, they say you've been fired or you're going to be. So it's something that is pretty common in our business, but still not something that you feel good about if it happens to you. And so just really figuring out that, I have been a basketball coach for just about all my life, but that's not really what defines me. And really going through this process of transitioning, and with your help, Carlette, just really figuring out, you know, action to change is really thinking about what I want, what makes me happy. So that's really helped me a lot in going from, I've always coached, what am I going to do now, to just really embracing the things that I'm doing, the new position that I hold, and not that I like coaching, but that's not really all that I can do. So I think, just big action to change for me was just really thinking about what part of my job made me happy and figuring out that I could do that in different areas, whether it be sport like life coaching or the role that I'm in now or things like that. So it's really been eye opening for me in that sense. And emotional management has been a big part of that. Your self talk, all those different things. I've improved, especially throughout this time of being in our well-being on our well-being team.
Well, Joi, thank you for bringing up that additional intelligence of identity intelligence. And so many times we don't necessarily think of that. We just say, I'm a coach, or I'm a mom, or I'm a partner, or we're always labeling ourselves. And yet, who are we really? What really matters, back to kind of that love component? What's our heartbeat, and what gets us up every morning, and who are the people we want to hang out with? And so we can take that identity piece personally, professionally, philanthropically, personally, really talking about who am I, what's important to me, and what do I want to do to invest in really the identity of me as a person. And then professionally, how am I really anchored in a culture of being for each other and well-being, and really anchored in something so much bigger than ourselves from an identity perspective. And that leads right into philanthropic in terms of really being able to play a small role in something so much bigger than us, and to give hope to people, and to use our sport platform for social good, for, messaging, really something that from an identity perspective, we can be so much more than just a coach or a mom or a person. We can just wrap all of us in what we love and the people that we love, and how we can serve and support in such a big way. So This has been such a 10, being able to talk about well-being, share our passion for it. As we close, words of wisdom to your teammates in terms of coaches in the world that, whether they're a coach that's at a club or a high school or a junior high or a volunteer coach, that coach's heart is always the same. I mean, they are people that love competitiveness and really love serving and supporting others. So when we speak about well-being for coaches, Melissa, what's your words of wisdom?
I think that to be a great coach, you have to really know yourself. And I think if you go through what's good for what's good for me, like really digging down and understanding what makes you tick and when you need to be kind to yourself and when you need to push yourself and just really, really knowing yourself. And so I think that's really the journey that sport life coaching really put me on. And it's something we're coaches and we had coaches when we were younger playing our sport. And why in the world would you not want to coach for your life? And it's okay to have support. It's yes, you need to know yourself, but you need to have your team to support you. You need to have your people around you. And so I think those are some words of wisdom is to, it's okay to reach out. There's other people that are feeling the same. Everybody has insecurities, every single person. And to understand that, you can connect with other people to support you, and it makes a world of difference.
Love that. And one of our desired outcomes as sports life coaches is to give hope to other coaches. And we meet on Monday nights as a team of coaches, and I have the honor of coaching up our coaches. It's really a support team. We just get together and we start with how may we love and support you. And so it's a chance for our coaches to really have that support. And our gift to other coaches is that they can join us one time and really have questions and really be able to ask our coaches advice, get coached up. So coaches, if you're out there and you would love words of wisdom from our amazing sports life coaches that are also in the sport coaching business, you can connect with us. And that is something that we do philanthropically and let you join our team to really go through those questions. So just something to keep for you. Maybe it would be a 10 for you. We just want to make sure that you as coaches know we are for you and we are really here to coach you up for your life and your well-being. So Joi, words of wisdom for you, for your coaching teammates and people out there.
Well, one thing I love about what Melissa said is figuring out what works for you. And I think the flip side of that is really being honest with yourself about what doesn't work. I think sometimes as coaches, we take on a lot and it's really not a 10 for us. It's not, and some things won't be just because of the nature of the job, but really, figuring out, hey, I don't like this or I don't like that or that doesn't work for me. Because I think when you do that, you're really honest with yourself. And in the long run, you're a happier person. And also, in terms of your support team, whether it be assistant coaches, those players that you recruit, I think in terms of our support team, just really being vulnerable and honest with ourselves about what we might not be great at. And so really finding those people who might be a 10 in other areas, because I think that that's what makes us better. And sometimes we feel insecure about, well, if I hire this person or if I do this, then they're going to know that I'm not as strong in that area. But I think that makes the whole group stronger is when we realize, hey, here's what I need help in, and I'm going to go find the best person I can to help me in that, or the best person possible to be on a part of my support team, whether they're on my staff or just one of my mentors, or so be it. But I think those things are really helpful in things that I learned throughout my journey. I wish I had learned a little sooner, but I think that coaches can really help themselves when they do that, when they think about what works for them and also really equally what doesn't.
And so how interesting that when we talk about words of wisdom for our coaches is that it's exactly what we tell our athletes, the people that we coach. It's like, you've got a support team. We're here for you. Receive help, ask for help. You can do it. I mean, what a gift to really give us the same encouragement and, cheer us on in the same way that we do for so many other people. So Joi and Melissa, thank you for this 10 conversation. Thank you for the honor of serving and supporting you as a coach. and also just for your commitment for you to be a champion for your well-being. Thank you. Melissa?
Thank you, Carlette. And again, you've been a huge influence in my life, and I'm so appreciative that our paths crossed, and look forward to many years of continuing to cross.
Me
And
too.
Joi?
Such a gift. Go ahead, Joi.
No, I said I echo that. Thank you, Carlette, and especially for me and my transition from sport coaching, I'm just excited about what the future holds with sport life coaching and working with you, and just proud to call you my coach. And so I can't wait. And Melissa, I can't wait until we meet in person. So that's going to
I
happen
heard that.
as soon as all this COVID craziness is over. But just really appreciate you guys and all that you're doing.
So team and coaches, we are for you. We send our love and support to you. And most importantly, go out there and win well-being. You and your life matter. Be a champion for your well-being. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. We'd like to get you coached up, so head over to iTunes and Spotify and hit subscribe. And remember, a champion life is a 10 life. You and your life matter. Create a life that you love, give hope to others, and be and choose nothing but 10s. Be you, the world needs you. Go to lifetrainingacademy.com to start your training and get coached.